the best, even the best secular writers in ufology, Jacques Vallée, Dr. John Keel, Dr. John Mack, all concluded that whatever was going on with alien abduction phenomenon was similar to biblical demonology and to the history of the Watchers, because there is this need to collect, to harvest DNA of humans, but not just humans. You go to bed one night, you wake up the next morning, and Skippy the horse is out in the field with portions of his face that have been removed with laser precision. There's no footprints coming to him or from him.
No blood.
No blood. And it's happened around the world thousands of times, and no law enforcement agency yet has been able to capture the international blood-sucking cult that's doing this to these animals.
Yes.
But these are happening in UFO flap areas, so that there is a phenomenology that occurred not just in ancient times, but almost appears to also be happening now. So this intrigued me. The bottom line, to answer this question about why I thought I had solved the answer, the question of the Watchers and why they had to do this mingling, was the light came on one day that God had created all intelligent forms of life. All of it dated back to Him. And He had kick-started it. And then put up a barrier between the species in order that each kind reproduce after its own kind. So meaning then that at the moment that the sperm of a dog meets ovum of a dog, and a dog zygote is formed, at the earliest moment of life, the spirit of a dog enters that being. The same thing is true of a human, a horse, any other creature, all dating back to the creation of God. Well, according to Enoch, these Watchers had participated with God in creation. They could not speak into existence like he could, but they knew something about genetic manufacturing. And they knew that in order that we haven't seen in thousands of years.
Wow.
And to my understanding, and I do resonate with this. And one of the things that Bashar talks about is that the genetic material is actually modified in these abduction scenarios, and they're kept. So they manipulate the egg or whatever's going on, they put it into the woman, and she actually then has the kid with her husband and the mom, and then, part extraterrestrial.
About a week ago in Los Angeles, I got the pleasure of seeing Bashar in person. And one of the questions that I asked him, what percentage of humans incarnate now are a part of the abduction program? What he told me was that 47% of humans incarnate now are a part of the abduction program. That means almost 1 in 2 people. I mean, that's a high percentage. Well, they've created 5 hybrid civilizations, full civilizations of beings from this program. So they've needed a lot of humans to participate.
The Grey telepathically conveyed thoughts, pictures and explanations to me regarding this child and its life. But the volume of information was too great to retain consciously, and I was just left with an overall impression regarding meeting a new friend. The Grey told me about the child with considerable care, and I sensed there was something he was not yet telling me, but he was seeking my cooperation with this meeting. We proceeded to a small room and waited, and I felt excited about meeting a new friend. 2 Greys entered the room, with a vibrant blue ball of light floating in the air between them. As I stared at the ball in surprise, having expected a child to arrive, the Grey told me I would love this ball of light in the future, as it would become my son. He referred to it as both a source and a complex system, and said I had known it since before my own birth. The Grey began an intense mind-to-mind download consisting of 3 streams of information. The first just calmed my emotions and confusion. They wanted us to get to know each other, future mother and son, and they would observe how we related to each other. A second stream embedded extensive information into my subconscious concerning the purpose of this project, the genetics involved in the creation of my son's body, and the dual education he would receive on board craft, both as a child and in his source or soul state, which he told me had been enhanced and altered by them for a specific purpose. Finally, a third stream brought my mind back to the present as an 8-year-old child, and they left me to play with the ball for a while. I tried to relate to the ball by first asking it to bounce, but it just floated there, unresponsive. I felt disappointed and sat down on the floor. Suddenly, I felt as if I was being watched and became aware the ball was thinking at me. It descended down onto my shoulder, and we were soon racing around the room, communicating happily. But all too soon, the Greys returned. They expressed satisfaction that the meeting had gone well. 2 of them took the ball of light away, and I felt deep sadness and longing. The Grey assured me that we would meet again many times up until the day that this son would be born. So we returned to where the other children were interacting. In 1983, now aged 28 years old and near to full term in my first pregnancy, I was taken on board craft. My memory begins with me being assisted down a corridor by 2 tall entities, a mixture of species. They expressed concern for me as I had been ill throughout the pregnancy, and so they tenderly supported me as we entered a small room. They helped me onto a shelf-like bed, and we were joined by a Grey. He explained that they were bringing someone to merge with me, and I was not to be concerned as everything would be fine. Holding his hand over my forehead, he told me he first needed to retrieve some memories from my subconscious mind, which had been embedded there in childhood. Immediately, my mind was filled with images, emotions, and memories of past meetings associated with a ball of blue light, and I became really tearful as I realised it was the soul of my child soon to be born. As he calmed my emotions, a group of ET children came into the room, bringing with them the now familiar soul or ball of energy. He stated these young entities had grown up on board craft with this soul, and they would play an integral part in supporting him in his life. There was a real air of excitement as the process of merging began. The Grey slowed my metabolism right down to prepare my body for the intense energy of the soul, necessary to prevent shock to my body. During the hypnotic regression with Mary, my voice became really slow and almost indistinguishable at this point, and my body felt cold and numb. Slowly the soul entered my body and the body of my child-to-be. I felt infused with light and weightlessness as the Grey slowly brought my metabolism back to normal again. He stated my son would be born late, which he was, and that he would be accompanied through his life by watchers, a terminology to describe a protective system they would provide for him. He added there are thousands of children being born in a world like him, part of an extensive project to create positive changes and accelerated evolution from within the human species.